Hello and welcome to another episode of Untold Chapters. Today's guest is new author Jane Andersen, who has recently published her first delightful children's book, Connie, the Confused Chameleon. Born in Sydney, Australia, Jane Andersen was captured by books and reading from an early age, often spending school recess hidden away with a book and a delicious cupcake. Fast forward a few decades and she is thrilled to be on the other end of the publication process, with the story of Connie being the first of 6 friends to make it to the shelves. Thank you for agreeing to come on to an Untold Chapters episode with us. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
I would love to. Hello, everybody. My name is Jane. I'm from Australia. I have 2 kids, 2 cats, a lovely husband, although that order doesn't indicate the level of importance. The cats come first.
Oh, naturally.
Naturally.
What inspired Connie the Confused Chameleon, and why did you choose to make decisions a central theme of the book?
Well, it was actually a really organic process. It happened almost accidentally. My kids were quite young at the time, and I'd been reading a lot of children's books, and I found that I loved the ones that had that poetry and that rhythm to them. My job at the time involved a walk to work, so sort of 15 minutes each way. And I found myself seeing if I could recite any of my favorite books in my head. And at the same time, I'm thinking about my kids, wondering how their lives will turn out, what they'll decide to do when they grow up, who they'll become. And it just sort of merged. I think we all have so many decisions that we need to make all the time. And you never really know which ones are going to change your life. I mean, you've got the obvious ones like, should I choose to do that career or that career? But it goes all the way down to, do I turn left coming out of this shop and go on with my life? Or do I turn right and possibly meet the love of my life? You never know what decision is going to be the big one. And chameleons are so cool, right? Their little
absolutely.
feet and their eyes that can look in all different directions, and the color change thing is just amazing. I think because I didn't actually start with an end goal in mind, it was just more about creating the character and exploring that. And I figured something as versatile as a chameleon would give me lots of scope to explore.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, well, what would they do in this situation? But what about that situation? So,
Could have been an octopus, I suppose.
oh, I love those as well,
They do
especially
it
the
too.
fact that
They're
they
so
don't
cool.
have like an actual skeleton, so they can just see like a tiny little gap.
So
And like,
squishy.
I'm gonna go in there.
Yeah. And I've heard stories of them coming out of fish tanks in pet shops and going into the other tank and eating all the fish, and then making their way back to their own tank and just sitting there as if nothing has happened.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's weird. Who did that? Wasn't me. I can't get out of this
Me.
tank.
I'm going to shrug with all eight shoulders.
The title suggests a vibrant and varied world. How does this setting influence the story?
Well, I had my chameleon, but I needed her to engage with other characters. And let's face it, I don't really know all that much about chameleon habitats. I still don't. But where would a children's book be without farm animals, right? So I put her near a barnyard. And her friends are a mix of domesticated and non-domesticated critters, which I thought would keep my character and setting options open as I sort of progressed and explored and worked out where this was all going to go.
Because then it's, with domesticated animals being featured, it's like, I know, kids when they're reading, it's like, oh, we've got a cat. So it's sort of
Yeah. I
like
know what a sheep
relatable.
is. I know what a dog is.
Yeah.
I might not necessarily know what a chameleon is at the beginning, but I will by the end.
Yep, now you do. So you learn something new every day.
True.
How was your experience writing the book? Did you face any challenges along the way?
Well, I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've always liked writing poetry. So, I mean, it's not something I do every day. It's usually at times of heightened emotion, like heartbreak or grief, or, when you've won the lotto, you've just got so much joy inside that it needs to get out. I actually have an old memory from my school days when the English teacher handed out the poetry assignment, and there was this chorus around the room of, "Oh, I want to be in Jane's group." So I knew then that I had an affinity for poetry. But I think the actual writing of the book was not really the challenging part. I'd get a line in my head, like a phrase or even a couple of words, and it would just sort of grow the rest of the verse around that. I think the main challenges of it all came after it was actually written. So this was my very first book. I knew nothing about the publishing world. And I had decided that I needed to get it illustrated before anybody would even look at it. I thought that's what I needed to do before I could submit it to anybody. So I had this book, and actually it's 5 brothers and sisters, just written and in my back pocket for somewhere between 10 and 15 years. And every couple of years I'd take it out and I'd give it to somebody who I thought might be able to illustrate it, but it never really worked out. And I met Genevieve. We were both in a production of Into the Woods together in 2020. And, it was only sort of after the event I'm thinking, oh, that's right, she said she worked on Bluey. And, oh, that's right, she did that drawing of the girl who played Rapunzel. I wonder if, so I ended up giving it to her. And I sort of had worked out by then that I could. So I submitted it to AustinMacauley at about the same time. And when she first sent me her sample of her work, it was that picture of Connie that ended up on the front cover. And the first time I saw it, I nearly cried. I thought, oh my God, that's her. I've never actually seen her before, but there's my Connie. So I guess overall, the experience of writing this book and then so many years later, getting it out into the world, it's just been a wonderful experience. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great. So was it like when you got the illustrations back, did it sort of recreate the story in a sense? So it's like it gave it new life.
Yeah, there were bits in there that I sort of hadn't realised, ways that it could be interpreted. And just the colours in it were just so perfect for what the story was. And I suspect that I had a little bit more input over how the pictures ended up than I might have otherwise. I had a couple of meetings with her, and this is what I've got so far. And I've gone, oh, well, I really like that bit. Not so sure about that bit. And can we move those words from the top of that page to the bottom of the page before? That sort of thing. I think it was really good that I was able to have that sort of input. So it ended up being really how I wanted it to be. I just love it.
Because that's
Probably
the thing,
not the right thing to say about your own work.
No, because honestly, I think that is probably like not only your ultimate compliment, but also her ultimate compliment, because exactly how you just said it, it's exactly how you wanted it to be. And what's better than that? Because that's what I always love about just books in general. You have this idea in your head, and if you can get that idea exactly how you like it and how you want it, how you see it, down onto paper, not only just typing it up, but also having it illustrated, like there you go, you've done probably what you initially set out to do. And yeah, what's greater than that? Well, minus the when you actually get the book back and you can like physically hold it in your hands, probably. Yeah, that's also a really
that was so good. Good.
Yeah,
I know. Well, with a lot of work that we do, and I've sort of been on both ends now, I guess, is like I will present my boss with what I think they want, and they say, no, that's not what I wanted. And I go, okay, well, what do you want? And they say, well, I don't know, but not
that's
that.
helpful.
Which is really hard. And that's what I loved about, and I think I did that to to some of the original illustrators that I'd tried to hire to do the book. They'd give me something and go, no. But when I got the pictures from Jen, I've gone, yes. I hadn't had a vision of how I wanted any of the pictures to be, but when I saw what she did, I thought, yes, that will do nicely. Thank you.
Honestly, the truly brilliant thing about art is being able to like visually, because it's one thing having the ability to write a world, a scene, a character to life, but it's a completely other thing to visually bring it to life, because that's the thing, or especially with the kids book as well, that kids a lot of the time do need that visualization. One of the many things that I love about kids books. So
the pictures really make it. Yeah, they're beautiful. My daughter is quite good now. She's 15 now. And actually part of my plan when I'm offering it to people and they're not giving me what I want was maybe I should just wait for her to grow up and she can do the pictures.
You know what you were saying about earlier about octopi, I guess.
Oh, yes.
It might even be the content of, well, the concept, I mean, of your next book, and your daughter might be able to be the one to illustrate it. So there's an idea for you.
Yes, I love that. I'll have to get her to practice. Start practicing your octopuses. I think octopi is better.
That's the thing. Otherwise, octopuses is always like
octopuses just sounds weird.
Just a little bit, but that's what makes it funny, though. Because that's the thing. You could even base it in that pet shop. It's like, so what's this octopus going to get up to next?
That's right, and it can get really upset if people call it an octopus rather than octopi when they're. What is it? I'll have to work out what the collective noun for octopi is.
Oh, there you go then.
Bound to be a good one.
Your next potential.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to take that on board.
You're very welcome. Right, how do you create a balance between exploring more serious themes and maintaining more of a light, engaging tone in your writing?
Well, would you believe it was never actually meant to be about any sort of serious theme? I mean, I knew it would have like a moral, I guess, a point. But during the writing process, it was really just about a little chameleon who realized that she had choices. I think maybe the only bit was towards the end where it says, no matter if you're black or white, which is obviously about race. And then it says, or blonde or grey or blue, which was actually about aging. I felt myself getting older at the time, because if you think about the colour of somebody's hair, from blonde to grey to the blue rinse. And it was actually only when I saw from Jen's pictures that that picture, I think it's towards the middle of the book with the big rainbow and Connie in all the different colours. It's only once I saw that I thought, this covers that too. It could be a pride thing. I'm actually a bit embarrassed to say that I did not even think of that beforehand, but more than happy for anybody who wants to look at it that way. I guess the point is that it's really meant to be light and fun first. Like pure entertainment was the main goal. And if people get more out of it than that, then what a bonus. Icing on the cake.
Oh, brilliant. Because that's the thing, like when you're writing through it with that certain concept in your head, you know, with you saying it's more of a like a lighter story about, you know, a little chameleon, but like someone just reading it for the first time, the fact that they could see things in a different, well, from a different perspective, like you say, icing on the cake if that's the case. But that's to you.
That's great. I love that different people will get different things out of it.
Oh, absolutely. It could be on a kid's shelf in a bedroom in, I don't know, France, for example, and inspire so much more out of them than you even thought from the very beginning. Because that's
I love that.
That you don't quite think of when you're writing it, is like how it's going to come across. Because obviously you don't know because you're not in their heads. But
that's right. Yeah,
that's a brilliant thing about feedback with reviews.
I just hope that there's nothing offensive in there anywhere. That's if somebody finds something in there that they find offensive, they just need to know that that was never, ever my intent.
Oh, absolutely
It's not
not.
who I am.
Because
Mm.
it's you could, because it's a chameleon, they can change color to literally to the colors of the rainbow. They can, like, you can
Yes.
put it in front of a color wheel and it's like the left limb is going to be yellow, the right limb is going to be purple.
I love that. I've watched some videos and they are just amazing critters.
Animals have always interested me, like how different they are. Like you can
Yeah.
have the largest mammal swimming the seas to just these tiny little things that you forget even exist in like the deepest part of the ocean. And
Yeah. And they
until
can
the
live
yeah.
anywhere
Mm.
in the snow, in the ice, underwater, up in the sky, in your eyebrows. But
I think you're going to say in
it's
your eyeballs, so thank you for the
no, I have read. Maybe it's a little bit disturbing for
no,
this
honestly.
platform, but yeah, and I love the versatility and the variety that's out there in the world.
Because that's the perks of the animal kingdom is that you're always just discovering new things. Like who knows that? And also the ocean is like one of the biggest things on the planet. Do you actually know what lives in there? Are you
You
sure?
really don't. I was reading something recently, and it said there was something like 15 new species of insect or something discovered by a, a British scientist who decided to simply study their own backyard.
That is
And
both
just in this,
terrifying and
yeah,
brilliant at the
they
same time.
found 15 new species that had never been identified before. So I just thought, yeah, this planet's got it going on.
Oh, as long as they pay rent, it's fine.
Yes.
With, how your book can come across to, the target audience of kids in general, what do you hope that younger readers will take away from Connie's journey?
I think that one of the things that I love most about this story, and that I hope that other people do as well, is the idea that even if you have the potential to be pink with purple spots or Stygian blue with gold lightning bolt stripes, that it's okay to choose to just be green, the most common color in the world.
Hmm.
I think there's so much stimulus out there these days to be the best you can be, is the input from everywhere, stand out from the crowd. And I just want these little kids to know that it's okay to just be who you are, even if who you are is just a normal kid, a normal person.
Hmm.
I figure you don't have to be special. You just have to be happy.
Like you could be an octopus in a tank in a pet shop and you can get up to all types of things just by being
You know?
yourself. You never know.
That's
And
right.
the best
That's
part
right.
is they'll
Just
never see it coming.
be you.
The things that people can do, and it all starts from a kid. And
Yes.
so
They've got
that is,
none of the limitations that
mm,
we set on ourselves as adults.
and no sense of fear either. They can be
Mm.
whoever and whatever they want because it's something that I've always loved is so you could have a brilliant writer, for example, but like you turn to the younger version of themselves and they have no idea what's in store for them when they're older.
Yeah.
It's truly fantastic, all by being
Yeah. It's
yourself.
just a blank canvas. They can be
Mhm.
anything. And you see that when you watch little kids play. I remember when my girl was little, she could entertain herself for an hour just with her own fingers, being all the little characters. Nowadays, they need screens 24/7. But
Oh,
just
no.
the imagination, the world in there,
Mm.
inside the head for that kids have, it's incredible.
Something I always used to annoy my parents growing up because they got me these big play sets, and I always, no matter what, I found the smallest thing, the smallest part of the set, and I just entertained myself for hours with that
Yeah,
one thing. And I'm like,
yeah.
you're not
I
going to use
love
the
that.
rest of the set? No, this big
No,
thing right here that we paid like God knows what, how much for? No, no, you're not interested? Okay,
it's
add it
like
to
you
the
give them
rest
a
of the
present
show.
in a box and they chuck the present aside and play with the
Oh,
box.
I think I did that once. And like, you do realize there's something inside of it, right? It was like, yes, imagination. It's like,
I heard a
Not.
story where some parents were sick of it, and so they got an empty box and they put it in a bag for the kid for Christmas, who took the box out and played with the bag.
But that's the
Kids,
thing.
man.
You've
So
got
random.
one big flat area, you've got another big flat area, you've got a flap that, connects the two, and you've got a piece of
Yeah.
string. What more could you want?
What's not to love about that?
You could be it could be a rocket ship. It could be,
Yeah.
I don't know, a Orion's
It could
belt.
be a cat.
It could be a cat. You could have a new best friend. Yeah, put Rocky on the side. I don't need a rock with googly eyes anymore. I've got a
No,
box.
I've got this bag.
So,
Love
are
it.
there any other themes or topics that you're excited to explore in your future writing, like an octopus, for example?
Oh, an octopus. I think that's definitely on the bucket list now. They've got that same versatility as the chameleon, and the same but different just list of cool features that they have. So I think that might be on the cards. Actually, I mentioned earlier that I do actually. Connie is my first book, first in a series of 6 that I hope to get illustrated and published at some point. So I have the other 5 already written. And some of those themes include looking at how you treat other people. And they're all based around the characters that are in Connie as well. So that's Rex. He's a chocolate Labrador puppy who can sometimes be a little bit too rough and tumble. We've got a theme of following your dreams. So Daisy, the little duckling, she's too small still to do all the things that she wants to do. But as she finds out towards the end of her story, sometimes that can be a benefit. And we've got overcoming adversity. So Sally, the shy sheep, who at the end of her story, she is able to put herself out there enough to make some non-imaginary friends. And I think, I love Connie, but I love all the others as well. They're all such cute stories, if I do say so myself. But I hope people like Connie enough to maybe want to get to know her friends a bit better.
You've always got different perspectives. So with a film, for example, yeah, sure, you've got the main character. That's brilliant. But then you've also got the friends that support them, and what's life like from their perspective.
From their
So
point of view, yeah.
they could be getting up to their own things and you don't even know it.
Yeah, and in this story, in this series of stories, they do, and references are sort of hinted at or made throughout each of the books that reference sometimes one or two of the other books.
Do you, for anyone, wanting to create their own book, wanting to write their own, it could even be a kid's book, it could be an adult book, it could be whatever they want. But do you have any helpful tips and tricks or advice for them?
I think probably do your research, so know how it all works. So if you don't need to wait 15 years to find an illustrator. Other than that, I think just read. That's what originally inspired me with Connie and all her friends, was reading all the other children's books and just falling in love with them. And so if you want to write a children's book, then read as many children's books as you can. I think that would help somebody to distill what they like and what they might like to leave out of their book. Also, I think don't be scared to let people read what you've done, and perhaps don't be so attached to it that you can't take advice. The other side of the same coin, though, I think, is that you don't have to act on all the advice that you receive. People love to feel they have an input into your story by suggesting certain things. I remember in Connie's early days, I had some people make suggestions, and then I would go through and diligently make the changes. But then later on, I'd think, you know what, I actually liked it better how it was before. And then I just change it back. Yeah, so learn as much as you can about how the business works. And I think most of all, just enjoy the process. If you're loving what you're creating, then I think that will show through in your work. I hope it does in mine.
But yeah, well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on to an Untold Chapters episode, and thank you for providing as many brilliant answers as you have as well. And
Good, thank you.
hopefully it's only the beginning for you.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? Even as grown-ups, we still have all these fantasies about what we might like to be when we grow up. I'd be quite happy being a very successful children's author.
It's never too late to do what you love.
That's absolutely 100% true. I
So,
might make that the theme. I might do a set of books about old people. Maybe Maisie will get her own book. She's an old cow.
you never know. She might be an astronaut.
She might be an astronaut, bless her.
Milky Way.
Oh, I like that.
There
The
you
Milky
go.
Way for the cow. Oh, you are full of good ideas. Have you written some books? You should.
Funny enough, it's mostly I'm still at the concept stage, so I'm like working everything out. But yeah, because fantasy is my
love fantasy books.
The minute you introduce a like magic, dragons, things that technically don't exist, I'm like, say no more. I'm in. Take my money.
Yep. Yes, 100%. I'm right there with you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Untold Chapters. If you would like to see more, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. To purchase your version of Connie the Confused Chameleon, you can find the links in the description below.